This is Trevor from Y.C.G, your casual gamer. In this episode, we're going to cover the reset combination. So I promised I was going to show you guys how we could do that. So right now I just put a random combination in. And to make it simple, when you step on the rock over here, it's going to reset all the combination. Then you can restart the combination. And furthermore, when you get on the spike trap over here at the end, it's going to check if these two match up, and if they're not good, you're going to get killed by the spike trap. Since I don't have anything that is set right now, for sure it's going to be the wrong combination. So if I get over here, this trap is going to come up and kill me. Mind you, the spike trap we covered in a separate episode in season 2. Very simple way to do it. You can see it on the screen, a little preview of it. And that's it. So stay tuned. Alright, so to get started, we're going to make the reset combination. Now that you know how we did this combination over here for the puzzle inside the puzzle combination, you guessed that if I wanted to add a reset combination, instead of having a do once, the do once could apply to this over here, and I could have a separate condition over here that if it detects that you press on the, let's say, fifth element, so if I added an element and it was a letter R to say that it was going to be reset, we could have done it this way. But it takes a bit more time than just making it the simple way. And since you guys know how this logic works now, so you know you could be able to recreate what I just said over here, just by adding another condition that would be the reset, and to have it separated from the do once. So this one you could always press it, then it's fine. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create the code. So that's the code that would probably just happen right there. So it would be reset, so we're going to do a custom event. At the same time, is to give you guys different tools to work. So we're going to call it reset com, because there's always a million ways to make all the codes in Unreal, and that's the beauty of Unreal, but the code. So now we're resetting the combination. So the first thing we need is this over here. So I'm going to take this, Control C, Control V. So you need to go get the player combination. And you know already the combination to set is the one that you decided. So you already said this one is going to be to 1, this one is going to be to 0, this one is going to be to 3, and this one is going to be to 2. So you already know that. So you don't need to go outside to play with this. You just need this over here, set it there, and instead of setting it to 1, you're setting it to 0 because you're resetting the combination. So that's the first thing that's going to happen over here. Then the second thing is that you need to reset the image. So if, let's say, if there is an image that has been pressed, that means that right now it's going to be lit in, and therefore you need to set it back to its original state, which is unlit. So the easy way to do this is to just grab, I think, this bit of code over here. You just need this one over here, Control C, Control V, and just bring it back to the original state. Instead of this one, you're just going to be deleting this. You're going to set it back to its original state. So you're going to do this and set it back to the original state. And we're going to do the same thing for that. So just make sure to grab the element one. So this one is going to be, I think I have them over here. Yeah, to be selected. So just to make sure, just bring this one in and just connect this one here. And then we're going to do the same thing for the 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is just to bring back the elements back to their original state. So that means they have not been pressed yet. Here we go. So now everything should be resetted to their original state since we already organized this inside the scene. So if you check in the scene again, all the to be selected are done over here. And that's where it comes handy to really have all your customization piece in order. That way it's easier to make the codes after. So now that you've done this, we're going to need to reset it to the material. So this is where it gets a bit easier. I can just grab this over here, set it here, and now the targets are going to be the 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can just rally them up. Control C, Control V, Control C, Control V, Control C, Control V, and Control C, Control V. And if you want to, if you're really anal like me and you just want to right click and align them to the left, that way it's all clean, and then you can all connect them over here. When it's elements like this, you can change them like this. You can plug them all on the same node. And by doing this, now I can just set them all to be back to unlit. No, back to lit. So mask lit mask lit material, because you want the because originally the sprite is supposed to be litten. So if I go over here and I press on the first element, it's max lit. But once you pressed on it, you don't want the light to react with them anymore, so that you can it shows that you actually interacted with them. And I think that's it. No, I think, after that, over here, make sure that you created this event. So this is going to allow you, because it's going to reset the do once, and that's going to allow you to what? It's going to allow you to put in a new combination, to re-put an input inside. So you got to make sure that after you've done this, to reset it. So that way, if you did press it, if you did press any of the button, then everything's going to be resetted and you're going to be able to interact with them again. And I'm pretty sure that's the code. Yeah, that's it. So then over here, I just add a little comment over here and call it reset combination. So now you guess that if I wanted to have an image instead, I could have just had it over here. And just instead of the do once, I know it might not be easy to understand right now, but you have all the tools are there for you. Okay, it's still a break event, and you're just comparing it with the next element. So if you added an element over here and you wanted to compare with this, you don't want it to be part of this, what you can do is you can have a sequencer over here that's going to check, did you press the element 5? So let's say I have over here an element 5, whatever how you want to call it, and I have it here, and I can just have this same little check over here that's going to be right here, and it's going to check if I did press this. But you don't want it to be in the do once, because you want to always be able to interact with that button. And if you do interact with it, and then you can just set back all the elements back to reset. So that would be your option if you wanted to do it via this blueprint. A new paper sprite to identify what are you pressing, and then have it in a separate condition from the do once. Very important 2 steps that I'm giving you here. But we're not doing it this way. I'm doing it the lazy way, showing you how to do all of them at once. I'm just going to save this, close this. Okay. So now that you have your code's over here. You want to apply it to all the puzzle at the same place at the same time. And I have 4 of them. So it would be long for me to redo it, but it would work with the button, like I say. But for me going around in the game pressing each combination to reset them, I think it would be long. So I'd rather have a master reset for the combination. So easy enough, I'm going to do a trigger value. So mind you, this is the lazy way. I'm going to put it right here on top of the rock. Now you can place it as precise as you want if you want, but I'm just going to make it very, very easy just so that you get the GIF. And if you want to be if you want to make sure the player sees it, you can add a text render. Just like this. Bring it in the scene, bring it close, right here, and just make sure to turn it VS in front of the player. Have it like this, and in the text, just write reset combination. Actually, stand here to reset combination. There we go. And that would be it. I can just place it in the center like this, and you can see right now that it does react with the light. And if you don't like this, I can show you a nice little life hack over here. If I go over here, I don't know if they don't have a by default unlit version of this. To make one, very simple, just duplicate this like so, like that. You could have probably made a material instance, and from here, instead of doing this, we're going to call it unlit, like this. If I go inside, fairly, okay, just inside the material, I'm just going to click here, default lit, put it to unlit, plug the vertex color inside the emissive, and you're done. It's that simple. So I don't mind taking like 3 seconds to show you guys a little life hack like this. And then you can just change this over here, and then it doesn't react with the light. You can choose the color you want it to be. So I can make it red if I want to, and so on and so forth. I'm going to keep it white though. There we go. So there we go. Now we have the code. Now we just need to put the code in. So since I have the trigger and I'm inside the right level, I'm going to click on the borders over here, right click, add event on begin overlap. Here I'm going to do a, it's called get all actor of class. Is that it? Yeah. Get all actor of class. So this is going to cast something to every actor that is of this specific class, class being type. So for me, I want to go get all the BP combination. BP puzzle combination, I want to get them all, and then I want to call the reset combination that we just created. Now, funny enough, this is particular with 4-17. Probably in the future engine, I'm sure that it doesn't do this anymore in 4-23. I know that. When I get from out of the actor and I go call my event, which is reset combination, it doesn't see it for some reason. But it's a bug, because if I do a get over here and get a copy, and from here I do reset combination, then now it's there. And funny enough, I can just get rid of the get after, because if I do it this way, the problem is if I go with the get, this is only going to get the first input. So it's going to check in my level, how many puzzle combination do I have? I have 4. But it's only going to get the first one, and then it's going to reset it. And that's not what I want. I want all of them to do it. So instead of having to redo get 4 times to do it, then I can just grab this and plug it to the reset combination. You're going to say it is unlogical that I cannot just get it from here, but I guess that's how it used to work in 4-17. Can't wait to jump to 4-23 or 4-25. I think that's where we are right now. And you're done. So now we can test it up. We're going to go inside the level. It would have been smart to make sure to check if it's the player that's actually overlapping that box. So I'm going to go over here, put in a bogus combination over here. And then I'm saying, okay, I'm not happy with this. I go and stand on this, and they're all resetted. Now, final test. Can I put a new combination? I can. So there you go. That works. All right, now let's move on. Now we're going to be building our blueprint check. So we already have a blueprint over here that we started. So this is the puzzle check blueprint. If you press Control B, you can go directly to where you positioned it. Very nice shortcut. I always use that for everything. So now that we are going to build the actual code in there, this one is not going to be worth keeping anymore, because the trigger volumes is the best way to using the BP, the level BP is blueprint is the best way to get your codes tested, because it's a fast result and you can check right away if it works. Now that I know it works, I don't need it anymore. So I can just delete it. Now it's going to prompt me a message. I already have a program around it, no problem. I'm going to go right away here in the 2-3, and that's the program over here. We're going to keep this because we're just going to go copy it somewhere else. So we just don't need this anymore. So we're going to compile and save. Now going inside the puzzle check blueprint, so that's the one over here that has our combination in it. Now we're going to build a logic over here. So we're going to need a new box collision. So this here is called a box collision and not a trigger volume. And we're going to call it a check combination. Compile and save. And inside the viewport, you can already set it a little bit forward. It's not really going to change anything because it's going to be different for everybody how your puzzle is. Like even for me, I think I'm gonna have to play with it for sure. And compile and save. All right. So now that you have this, we're gonna go inside the event graph, and we're gonna make the bit of code back again. So we're gonna right-click, add event, on begin overlap. So that's the same bit of code that we did in the last season. Not last season, the last episode. So we were just checking if the combinations are right. So just to give a feedback to the player. So easy enough. Since I already have this code inside the 2-3, we can just grab it, Control C, go back over here and the puzzle check, and Control V, and it's there. And since I already have a cast to the game instance over here, I'm going to be able to replace this over here. So just make sure that when you drag the variable inside to be on the left corner over here. If I drag it to the middle, it's going to make a new set to the variable, and that's not what you want. You have to make sure that you're right on the side over here. So that's going to be your new way to check your combination. Now you have to make a check with the player character, and to do that, I prefer to have a cast. We're going to need a cast to the, I think it's the first person character in our case. And get player character, get player pawn. I think both of them works. I prefer to use player character, but in most case, I think it's the other one that's better. I always do that check because we're going to need it later on to make the def effect. So now that we have this, we can do over here is we're going to do this, compare it with the other actor just to check is it the character that's overlapping this event and not like an enemy or another trap, or I don't know what it is in your game. You could have went with the cast 2, that works too. If it's true, then you carry on the check. So now we want to check if the player has the right combination. So now we have something checking that showing that you have the player combination and the winning combination next to each other. But now we need a code to check, is it working? So now the best way to do this is, since we already have this, we're going to grab this. So this is the winning combination. We're going to need to compare them together. So to do that, I'm going to have this like this, and I'm going to go get the player combination. And now the way to check if they're both equal to each other is to do a compare node with a branch. But now if I go with the branch over here and I try to connect them, so let's say I want the first combination to be equal to this combination, and I want it to be equal to this to be true, but I want also to this to be equal to this, and this to be equal to 2 to 2, 3 to 3. I want all 4 combination numbers to be equal to each other. So how do I check everything on a single branch? This is where a new node that we never use again yet. It's called the AND Boolean. So and this Boolean, you can add as many pin as you want. So as long as one of the condition is false, it's going to return false. So over here it would be print string you lose or you die. And you can be very mean and put this to a red color like that. And we're going to do a copy paste over here, and here it's going to be you win. And bring it like this. And this time here it's going to be a bright green color just to say, hey, you win. So now you want, so we're going to Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V. So we want 1 to be equal to 1. So you can imagine if you had like 10 combination or 15 combination, it would be very tedious of a work. There's probably a way again to automate all this process. But since my combination is not too big, I think it's the best way right now for me to do it, to show you guys in a little episode. So now it's going to check, is the winning combination equal to the player combination? Important over here again, always having the winning combination as the top dominator in the equation. So over here I want to make sure that it's the winning that has to be equal to the player combination, and not the other way around. Not the player combination that has to be equal. In our case, it doesn't do any harm. But in most cases, when you check, make sure it could do problems with your code, because it's not gonna be the right condition. So let's say you input 1 and the winning combination was 3, and then you're checking. Anyways, I don't want to get into details, but it wouldn't work. So you go like this, and now let's test it out. So now we press play. We move all the way here. Now we're gonna put a bogus combination. We don't know what this is. We just got here and we start moving around. We didn't see this because we're just being careless. And then we go and we're like, okay, nice, I can press button, whatever. And then I get over here and I'm like, whoa, what's this? And I see this. This is my trigger to say, whoa, I'm not stepping any further. But let's say you didn't see this and you move it, and then you're gonna see like, oh, winning. Okay, you would die. Right now I don't have the right combination. If you're very lucky, it wouldn't happen like this, but you can see that right now I don't have the right combination. So now let's create the death possibility. And you can see over here I already have the trigger. That I did place the trigger, but I didn't place it. I placed it pretty poorly. And as you can see, I did move the spike around. I moved the circles around. And it's because once I brought my trap in, it wasn't in line with the rest. So let's go back in the blueprint, and we're gonna go make the kill order. So now we have this. We have the win, and the winning part is ready to be triggered, but the die is the first one we're gonna go with. So now that we have the cast the player, we're gonna go over here and add our mesh. So what is the input that's gonna give us the def? So static mesh over here, and object trap. Let's call it object trap. compile and save. To make it editable inside the level so that you can make it always customizable for your player or your dev team, you're going to control drag it in and do a set mesh. Set static mesh, bring it like this, and from the return node we're going to make a promote variable to a custom trap look. And there you go. Compile and save. And now we can decide what we want. Just make sure to have this customizable, and you can even put it inside this nice little category called customizable. There you go. So now that we have this, we're gonna go grab the props. Season 3, Season 2, where did I put it? I think it's Season 2. Now, like I said, my trap is very basic. Like, it's nothing to be acclaimed for. It's basically everything that we have in the content. So I took basic shapes like cones, and I just merged them together to make this. So now the trap is not well placed anyway, so we're just gonna put it in like that. I don't even remember how they were placed. Have them like this, and then bring them in. Can't bring them down. Now that place, I'm going to fast forward so I can just do it fast for you guys, and we're going to come back. Okay, that's about right. Now I bring it underneath, and the material, I'm going to take one of my material from another season. I think I have metal steel over here, and there you go. Now you have your basic trap in it, and it works. And I'm going to make sure that the trap has no collision. I'm going to make it inside the blueprint actually. In our case, you don't want it to have collision because it's not something, you just want it to be able to overlap the player, and then it kills him. So now you guessed it. So the player goes on top, and as soon as the combination is being checked, you don't want the player to be able to move out. So the first thing I would do over here is I would do well, if you have multiple ways that you want to kill your player, you can do over here a trap procedure. So you could do a branch again and just have a, I don't know, trap procedure. So let's say you have many ways to kill the player. So I would do a byte over here, compile, save, and then I would have it to be editable and bring it here, maybe on top of this. And this would be, let's say, if it's equal to 0, then it's going to be a spike trap. If it's equal to 1, then it's electric trap, and it starts zapping the player, but it doesn't kill him. So you see, you could have many different ways. That's the best way to do it. I always have procedures for everything, especially if I plan on using the puzzle more than once. In our case, it's 0. It's the trap to kill us with the spike trap. And since we already did the code for the trap, I don't want to waste too much time with you guys. We already did this in another episode. So I'm going to go get the code right now for you guys. So yeah, in our case, you want to take the object over here. So what I did over here is I gave a little bit of time so that way the player can have the time to see, oh, did I get the right combination? And he sees that, or there's going to be a sound that's going to say, oh no, I didn't get the right combination. So from here, this is all code that we already had in the trap one that we made together. I don't remember where it is, but it's, I think it's this over here. Can kill, and it kills you. But anyways, let's remake it together. The only difference that I added over here is I added a sound effect. That's going to be in the description below. It's a sound effect for the for the spike trap. And what I did is I grabbed the object trap over here. I'm going to get its relative location. So relative location, get relative location. I have it over here. I'm going to add 250. And from here, I'm going to do a move component to. Move component to. And that's actually what it is over here. So I'm just connecting the object trap to this. Here for the disable input, that's to make sure the player doesn't go away. You control, bring in the character. From here, you can just do disable input, and it's there. Disable input first over here. And then make sure the player controller is there. And also you need the rotation, in our case, the relative location, so it keeps the same rotation. And over here is another thing that we did together is our def screen. And you can see now it really gets it gets important in our way because it's all programs that we did together already. And it would be long for me to re-show everything every single episode. So that's why it's a followers only episode, because you need to know the notion to be able to follow with ease. Because the dev screen we already did together, it's right over here. There's an animation that happens on screen that just does the def. You died, and there's a nice little sound effect that happens that you guys already have if you did this with me. That just triggers you to be dead. So that's it. So I have the puzzle check. I leave 4 seconds to make sure the player realize like, oh, I died. And then from here, I want to be able to reset this because right now this should be on a do once, which I didn't do. Always make everything on do once. It's a very good practice because, or else you're gonna have people trolling your game at all time. First time I did a game, I had this. It was this little RPG, and I was making sound effect for like animals, and there was a sheep that was just in a random place. And first thing my girlfriend did when she played the level, she realized that you could press it over and over and over, and she just trolled it for. She just trolled my life out of this, and that was a very good lesson for me to just not let people do that. So for the reset, we're gonna do a nice custom event reset because that means if the player dies and the level is reloaded, normally the reset is already going to happen, but just in case it doesn't happen, you have a fail switch over here that resets the puzzle. So it resets and it loads the level. So that means we are done over here. It's going to reload the checkpoint, and I can just and now I can retry the level. We're going to test all this together. If you really wanted to make this right, and you don't want to have to put a specific name at all time over here, you could convert this to a variable, promote it to a variable. So I'm just going to make sure to copy this over here. Control C. I'm going to do here, promote it to a variable, call it a level to be loaded after player kill, after death. That's a long way for a variable. I don't think it's the right way to do this. So right now it's going to set this by default, which is good for me in our case. But if I put it to be editable and I go inside the customizable with it, then when I reach inside the level, you're going to see that it is right here, and I can decide what it's going to look like. So let's test this out and see if everything works. So I press play. You guys already saw the reset, so I'm just going to go right away to the putting in the wrong combination, which shouldn't be hard. I mean, the puzzle, the way I did it is you cannot have the same combination. Like you cannot have 2, 2. It doesn't work because it's a 4 different image at all time. So as soon as I get here, if I had 2 that was the same, right away I'm gonna die. So get over here, checks, and I die. For some reason I could still move. It loads, and you're back over here. So I want to check something. I was still able to move. So I think that was defying my point because I could just get out before the trap comes up. See? And I still die. So it's not it's not fail proof yet. So something that I missed. Let's do Control B, see what it is. So first thing you notice, guys, the trap goes way too high. In our case, since it's a first-person game, it's fine for this. So the input gets, okay, it's because there's a 1.5 seconds before the input is removed. So let's just make sure that as soon as you decided to go there, so the first thing that happens over here is that the disable input happens. So that way you're sure the player doesn't have the time to move around. I'm going to do this, and here just connect this over here, get rid of this, and you're off. So now this should work. And yeah, that's it. And the other thing was that the trap was going too high, so let's just put this to 150. See if it does the job. Save. All right, let's do it again. Let's do a bad combination. Okay, I get up. Combination is bad. Oh no! And I die. And there you go. If you wanted to add a nice little fade between, it would work. So hope you enjoyed this, guys. Like always, like and subscribe if you like what you see. And the next episode is going to be the last episode for this season. Don't worry, I still have a bunch of little requests that I was given along in the time I was making the season 3, like I think I had a request for blizzard effects particle system, wind effect on mesh, stamina recharge when walking. These are all little things that I wanted to add. See right now when I'm running around, and if I start walking, the stamina just stops recovering, which is normal in real life. You can catch your breath back. But that's something I want to show you guys when I'm going to be